What's going on, guys? K-Pine here and welcome back. And let me tell you, boy am I glad the Great League is here again. Since I don't have a viable Master League team, I have limited Ultra League Pokemon and I spent all my dust in the Great League, I've essentially had the past 3 weeks off. I do plan on getting more resources for the Ultra Master Leagues eventually, but as of right now, we're back and ready to go. And in this video, I'll be showcasing an extremely powerful team in the Evolution Cup. It works as an ABB style, with Vigoroth being the best safe switch and arguably the best Pokemon in this meta, working to bait out an opposing Vigoroth or other fighting type users like Machoke that your opponent might have. I am running Double Punch on my Haunter, since the coverage these two moves provide and your ability to get to them quickly is very useful. This team is just super strong. I've not had a negative set with it yet, and even went on a 13 win streak with it. And with that, let's get into the battles. Alright, getting to the first battle, we have Haunter and a Piloswine. Pretty neutral lead here. Our fast moves do chunk each other, but luckily we do outpace to our moves. I am going to go for Ice Punch here on the CMP tie, since Ice Punch does do more raw damage than Shadow Punch in neutral situations. This is a CMP tie. An Avalanche will take out Haunter from this range, so I will shield it, farm up more energy, but my opponent brings in a Dusclops, so I'm going to throw the Shadow Punch on good timing. See if they want to give up their first shield, which they do, and now I'm going to swap into Vigoroth. Here, Dusclops can only hit me with Return or Ice Punch of their own. This one is purified, so they do have Return. I'm going to load up on energy, throw my Bulldoze. Bulldoze is, I'm sure a lot of people know by now, a pretty bad move. But in a Dusclops versus Vigoroth situation, it's pretty neutral since we're both hitting each other with double resisted fast moves and charge moves. I do throw a Body Slam there because they're pretty low, and this would allow me to counter down to leave us some energy. But they go for a return, and they reach the return in time, and I'm just going to let that go and get an energy lead on my Haunter. So one Shadow Claw takes it out. See what they want to bring back in. Luckily, it is the Piloswine, so my Zweilous doesn't have to deal with it. I overfarm by 1, throw off the Shadow Punch. I overfarm by 1 to give whatever comes in less farm on my Haunter, and it ends up being a Vigoroth. So this is going to be a very close game since they are hitting for super effective with counters, but our Dragon Breaths are very impressive. So we get off our Body Slam on what is a CMP tie. I let them throw first so that I can throw my Body Slam on the CMP tie, so they're not able to overfarm any. And that's very crucial here because it is a CMP tie. We are able to bring in our Haunter and just barely survive these counters to get to the Ice Punch on what is another CMP tie. So either if this takes it out, I win. If it doesn't, I lose. And it just barely takes it out. And we're able to take a very close one right there. GG's. Next battle, we have Haunter into a Vigoroth. Pretty neutral lead, pretty awkward lead since, the Ghost versus normal. I'm going to build up to 8 Shadow Claws, which is going to be 1 past the Sludge Bomb to threaten the shield of my opponent. And luckily, we do get the shield. And here, since I was able to get 2 Ice Punches off before they threw 1 move, I'm just going to call that it's a Body Slam. Even if it was a Bulldoze, I would be fine taking that shield advantage and coming in with my own Vigoroth. But they end up Body Slam baiting, and I swap out into my own Vigoroth to hopefully catch a Bulldoze, but they throw a Body Slam again. And that's what normally happens in a Haunter versus Vigoroth matchup. If they do bait Body Slam, pretty much they're always going to throw another Body Slam again afterwards instead of a Bulldoze the second time around, since Body Slams do chunk Haunter anyways. In comes a Golbat. We do survive that Poison Fang to get off another Body Slam of our own. It's going to do some big damage. It's going to bring it pretty low. Waiting out my clock. I'm going to bring in my Zweilous. Just not able to Dragon Breath down in time before they get off another Poison Fang, which is alright. So I'm going to tank that onto my Zweilous, clear the debuff, get more energy on my Haunter. They bring in a Vig. I will shield this just because I want to preserve health onto my Haunter. And it ends up being a Ghost type and back. And here I make a big mistake. I throw on alignment because I was at the double punch, and I throw on alignment because I was at the double punch, but you're going to see that my opponent's going to survive with 1 HP. And if I didn't throw on alignment and throw on good timing, 4 Shadow Claws versus 3 Hexes, I would have been able to get that extra Shadow Claw through, and I wouldn't have had to worry about it. But luckily, since Zweilous is a 1-turn fast move, we are able to Dragon Breath down before they get their move off. So it was a very fortunate situation for us there. That should have gone a little better and a little more smoothly. Next match into a Dragonair. I load up to an Ice Punch, and then I'm going to throw it and then dip into my Vigoroth. Throughout these battles, you see me load up to the Ice Punch, throw the Ice Punch, and then go into the Vig. But what the better play really I found out it should be is you should throw Shadow Punch, as the Dragonair is going to shield and respect the Ice Punch every single time. And since Shadow Punch is a little less energy than Ice Punch, it's the better bait and safer bait to do to potentially get to an extra move later on in the match in your Haunter that you won't otherwise. So in comes the Vig. We do get their final shield with our Body Slam, and this puts me in a pretty decent position because I can come back in here with my Haunter. I'm gonna let this go since it only is a Body Slam, or since I was calling a Body Slam since I had 2 shields, but they went straight for the Bulldoze. Good for them, it takes us out. And now from here, my win con is to just commit shields on my Zweilous, Dragon Breath down the Vig, and hope it's something in the back that my Zweilous can deal with, and it's a Haunter, and that's exactly what my Zweilous can deal with, as a Dark Pulse is going to be more than enough to take it out. Next battle, Haunter into Magneton. This is an interesting lead, but these Shadow Claws absolutely chunk. I load up, throw on the Shadow Punch, but my opponent makes a brilliant catch onto their Vigoroth, and because they did that, I'm gonna load up myself and then throw Ice Punch on the CMP tie to the Bulldoze. Does some big damage, and I'm not gonna commit any shields here. I wanna keep my shields for the Magneton, because the Shadow Magneton hits like a truck. So I want to keep my shields for their charge moves. And my opponent luckily baits with Body Slam, which allows me to get their first shield and force them to throw a Body Slam of their own. This puts my own Vigoroth in a position where it can come in here and farm down to get some extra energy. Again, Body Slam is going to do less than a Magnet Bomb or Discharge from Shadow Magneton, so I'm going to let this through. No problem. They bring in Marsh Stomp. I'm going to load up an energy, swap into my Zweilous, hopefully catch the Surf. But it's just a Mud Bomb. That's okay. Still no need to shield that. And now I can just Dragon Breath, throw a Body Slam when I get there. But again, another Mud Bomb. Don't need to shield it. We'll survive it just fine and get off this Body Slam of our own. Throw right before they get to another Mud Bomb. Takes out the Marsh Stomp, and now we have a little bit of our Zweilous left and our Vigoroth with 2 shields to deal with the Magneton, and we should be in a very, very good position to clear out this game. Fortunately, we don't get our counter through. They do get a deny. That's all right. They're not going to be able to get to 3 Magnet Bombs before we can counter down. They swap into their own Vigoroth to try and get your move, but no use. Body Slam takes out Magneton, and that's a good game. Fifth match of the set, Haunter into Dusclops. These Hexes chunk, so do the Shadow Claws, so I'm going to load up. If they throw right away, like as soon as you throw 5 Shadow Claws, you know it's a Shadow Punch, you will shield it. And I was going to load up to 7 Shadow Claws before throwing to throw on good timing. And since they threw right away, I don't need to anymore to throw on good timing again, because since they threw, it would be 1 Shadow Claw, which is a 2-turn move, to 1 Hex, or it'd be 4 Shadow Claws to 3 Hexes, 8 turns to 9 turns, so on and so forth. Swap into a Vig. I'm going to meet it with my own Vig. Throw a Body Slam. My opponent's going for the counter down. They're just able to get it. A little unfortunate, but that's okay. I'm going to bring in my own Haunter here. hopefully Shadow Claw down in time before they get to another Body Slam, so I can leave with a ton of energy, which I am able to. In comes the Zweilous. We will get off this Ice Punch worth of chip, or get their final shield, which gets a final shield. Then I can bring in my own Zweilous, safely shield this move, throw a Body Slam against their Zweilous, and close out the game. I did have to watch for a catch here, so I overfarm the perfect amount just before they get to an Ice Punch, in which case this Dark Pulse will take out the Dusclops, and I'll still be able to outpace their Zweilous to a Body Slam of my own. So well played to my opponent, playing out their win con. Unfortunately, we were able to read that. Fortunately for them. This starts off with a 5-0 in the 13-game win streak. The next 5-0, unfortunately, I lost the footage of. So you'll just have to take my word for it. And then this is the first match of the third set when I'm on a 10-game win streak so far. In comes a Shadow Dragonair. We do throw our Ice Punch. Swap into a Zweilous of our own to farm down. I will let this go. I can tank whatever move they want and still be able to take switch advantage. And we leave with a move loaded as well, which is fantastic. They bring in a Vigoroth. I will be able to get this Body Slam worth of chip off on it. They let it go. I am going to bring in my own Haunter here as well, and they have their own Dusclops in the back. I do want to get off this Shadow Punch for some nice chip damage, or get a shield, their final shield, which I do get their final shield, and then this puts my Vigoroth in a great position to just go for straight Body Slams and close out the game. If this was not a purified Dusclops, I wouldn't be worried about anything, since Ice Punches don't really do much to Vigoroth, since Dusclops is tanky and doesn't have much attack, but it's purified, so I have to watch out for the return, and luckily we do shield the return. My opponents add another move. I will shield it again. It is another return, so 2 big shields on me. Now I can overfarm a ton and potentially counter down, but they don't let that happen, and I just have all this energy to throw out their Vigoroth, which we get both of our Body Slams off, take out their Vigoroth, and that should be a good game. We just counter down the Dusclops. Next battle, we have Haunter into Lairon, an interesting pick. And I have no idea what the counts and moveset of a Lairon is. All I know is that Metal Claw, which is its fast move, is a very bad fast move. Doesn't do much damage and takes a while to charge up to a move. So I'm able to get 2 Shadow Punches off before they're even able to get to their first move, and that's just absolutely crazy. I do get their first shield, and because they shielded, I'm going to shield my Haunter and try and go for a Shadow Claw down, but they throw a Rock Tomb, and that just makes it so I won't be able to Shadow Claw down in time to lower my defense, so I snipe with my Vigoroth, and they bring in a Haunter of their own. We are even on shields here, so I overfarm and go straight for the Bulldoze, not expecting them to shield, but they catch even on my overfarm, and that's a massive catch. So I'm going to throw more counters and then my Body Slam right before they get to a Body Slam of their own. It's just not enough to take their Vigoroth out. A little unfortunate, but that's okay, because I can let the Body Slam go. And then come in with my Zweilous to Dragon Breath down. Get a little bit of an energy advantage. They bring in a Haunter. I'm counting their moves. I swap out. I'm able to catch a move in time, and if the game wasn't already over before, it is now, because I still have a shield, and I can just Dragon Breath down the Haunter, and it can't do anything at this point. All right, next match, into a Shadow Seadra. This runs Dragon Breath as a fast move too. Fortunately for us, it does not get stabbed, same type attack bonus on the Dragon Breath, since it is a water type Pokemon. But we treat it the same, just like a Dragon type lead, we're going to throw a move, get a shield, and then dip into our Vigoroth. I will respect whatever they throw, since Seadra, if I remember, only really has somewhat hard-hitting moves. So I do shield and have all this energy, but they bring in a Dusclops, and now it's just going to be Bulldoze versus Ice Punch, Bulldoze versus Ice Punch, battle of a bad move and a semi-bad move against two somewhat tanky Pokemon. Another Ice Punch coming through. That's okay. Throw one more counter for good timing. This Bulldoze, again, getting to get some nice chip onto the Dusclops. And I'm able to get this Body Slam off right here. Will this be enough to take out the Dusclops and get Switch? It is. They bring in their own Vigoroth. Gets a little bit of a counter head start. Not exactly what I want to see, because I do have this Zweilous in back. And these counters are going to hurt. But nonetheless, I do have to bring it in here and potentially try and catch onto my Haunter. But that catch doesn't work. They do bring in a Seadra to try and snipe. All it does is give me some more farm. I'm able to throw this Ice Punch at the Vigoroth. The Vigoroth can't shield this because they know I have a move stored on my Haunter. Or on my Zweilous. And fortunately, we're able to Dragon Breath down in time. And that's 13 game win streak right here, heading into the 14th match, and we face off against a Shadow Machoke. They swap out right away into a Vigoroth, and I need to maintain Switch at all costs. So I'm going to throw an Ice Punch first, get some chip, and then go into my own Vig. This way I can keep the Machoke onto my Haunter instead of having it onto my Zweilous, which would be absolutely terrible. They do get to another move in time. And loading up, I'm one counter away from double Body Slam, and this is a crucial mistake. I go for the Bulldoze here. I didn't think I'd be able to live two Karate Chops, but I lived two Karate Chops so easily, and if I went for double Body Slam instead of a single Bulldoze, their Machoke would have been taken out, and I wouldn't have had to deal with it in the end game. And you're going to see that that's going to be a crucial mistake later on in this match, because they have a Piloswine in the back. And my Zweilous can't do anything, as an Avalanche essentially one-shots a Zweilous. So I'm putting all my hope in a Haunter right here, where potentially I can Shadow Punch it, catch a move onto my Zweilous, and then Shadow Punch. Avalanche comes through, essentially takes out this Zweilous, and you'll see right here that I get to this Shadow Punch before it reaches another Avalanche, but I don't throw it because they still have the Machoke in the back. So if I threw the double Body Slam instead of the Bulldoze at the Machoke, I would have been able to win this game, but unfortunately a mistake like that ended my 13 game win streak. The next battle, we have another Dragonair Lead. So like last time, I'm gonna load up, throw the Ice Punch to get the shield. Again, pretty safe bait. Go for Shadow Punch, saves you a little extra energy. And then dip into my Vigoroth. As Dragonair stays in, is gonna throw off a move. I don't need to shield it. Body Slam or Aqua Tail's not gonna do that much damage. And they bring in their own Vigoroth. I will throw my Body Slam right before they get to theirs. Do some nice chip damage. And if they go for a counter down, I am gonna be able to reach another Body Slam, which thankfully my opponent lets me. We'll get their final shield. Now I'm gonna bring in my Haunter to absorb this energy. They threw right away. I'm expecting them to go for the Bulldoze, which they do. We're bringing our Zweilous, Dragon Breath all the way down. And since their Dragonair is somewhat low, we can just Dragon Breath all the way down ourselves, shield once, and just like the game before, hope it's something that Zweilous and a shield can deal with in a back when it has all of this energy. And it's a Galarian Linoon running Lick. 12 licks. I know this has Body Slam. I'm not sure what other move it has, and it's 12 licks to a Body Slam. But since we have all this energy advantage, we should be able to outpace 2-3 Body Slams before they reach 2 themselves. So it's just a matter as to whether I can survive the licks to get to those 3 body slams, which I'm able to do, and we're able to take another very close game. GG's. And that is the last battle. This team is super strong in the Evolution Cup. I highly recommend you give it a try. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate you. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one.